Cisco Show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that dial. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a show here today. Look, you call your aunt, your uncle, your grandmom, your grandpop, and all your friends. Tell them to come and look at this show, okay? We're going to learn something about, senior citizens, like myself. I'm a senior citizen. I've been around a long time, a lot of corners. And so what we're going to talk about, abuse. Sometimes the older people sometimes people take advantage of them. So I just want you to know that our district attorney here in Montgomery County, Risa Furman, has created a division especially to help elders as far as abuse, okay? Now, we're going to go into this. And my guest today is Assistant District Attorney Bradford Richmond. He's the captain of the Elder Abuse Unit of Montgomery County. I'm very proud to introduce him because I'm a former county detective in Montgomery County. I still live in Norristown. In fact, I'm still the ambassador. I'm still the ambassador. I don't know when they're going to throw me out, but I'm still there. And it's all about helping people, and that's what this show's about. We're going to help you, whether it's something to do with education, whether to do with health, legal, the whole bit. So stick around, and now I want you to meet my guest, Bradford.
How are you,
Richmond, and I'll do like Madison Square Garden, in this corner.
I don't have to fight back, do I?
Okay, no. All right. Now, tell me something about yourself. People like to know all about you. I know you got a nice beard here.
Well, thank you.
Keep that.
I'm an assistant district attorney. I work for Risa Furman. I've been out in Montgomery County for going on 4 years now. I spent most of my career in Philadelphia as an assistant DA and a city solicitor, and I worked for the police department there for a while. And I was very excited to come out here to Montgomery County and join Risa Furman in her efforts. And one of the things she's done since she came into office in January is to create the Elder Abuse Unit. And she asked me to be in charge of that unit as captain of the unit. I'm happy to do that, and it's been a very exciing undertaking.
Now that you say it's elder abuse. Now, tell me what do you mean by that?
Well, elder abuse is a word used to describe a category of crimes where senior citizens are targeted as victims.
Right.
Most of the time, it involves an element of a relationship of trust on the part of the offender. You have a home care worker, a nurse, a son or daughter, a relative, somebody who the senior citizen trusts, and then that trust is abused by either financial exploitation, scams, stealing, or
in Italian they say rubare.
All right.
Rubare, that means to put them in your pocket.
Put it in your pocket. And also there's a physical abuse, neglect, sexual assaults.
Right.
So we really cover the whole gamut of crimes where senior citizens are targeted.
Well, why does the district attorney need this particular?
Well,
I'm asking repeating the same question, but I want to get into it and show the need and some of the things that you do.
That's a great question, because 25 years ago when I started in the DA's office in Philadelphia, the big thing was they started a child abuse unit.
Yeah, right.
And we see where we are today and how cases of child abuse are investigated and prosecuted. The problem back then with child abuse cases is the same as we have in elder abuse cases today. You have a large number of cases that go unreported. Yeah. And they go unreported because the victims are...
They don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do. Some of them don't have the capacity to report. They're people that have illnesses and other deficiencies that may prevent them from reporting. A lot of times these are inter-family issues, and they don't like bringing the police into it and reporting their son or daughter. So it takes a certain kind of individual to investigate these cases with training and to know how to uncover this kind of abuse and then prosecute it. And so the purpose is to train our police, to train our prosecutors so that we can go after this.
Education. Education, training, and experience.
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3. You need the whole three, and you got it.
And that's a very big part of what we're trying to do in Montgomery County now.
And, they have, I went to a seminar when I was a police officer about police officer going to the scene of an investigation, and they find out sometimes the victim want to take a report, they can't hear too good, okay? That's before the hearing aids took over, you know, and then sometimes they can't see too well. You know, this professor was at this class, was a pretty sharp guy. When we all went in, there was about 60 police officers in the class. So what he did, he turned the lights down dim, and he turned the microphone down, you just about hear him. And they were saying, hey, we can't see. Hey, we see, now you know what it feels like to be old when your eyes start dimming and your ears start slowing down. See, so this is what you're doing. You're helping people, okay? All right, now, what are some of the problems that Montgomery County you've had that you jump in on? Well, one other thing I just want to mention, that being a former police officer, I remember people would be abused. They didn't know that they could go to the police. They didn't know they'd go to the district attorney. They thought they had to get a lawyer, and people afraid that well, I have to pay. You don't have to. If somebody commits any kind of a crime against you or something, you call the police, you call the district attorney.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead.
And you know, you point up a very good thing in terms of the police. Very often the police officers are the first individuals who enter into a situation.
Right.
They may get called to a house because a neighbor's concerned. Maybe the neighbor hasn't seen the victim in a couple days.
Right.
Maybe they get called because they hear screaming or something like that. And we want to educate the police and train the police on what to look for.
Right.
And it's not only for, if a police officer gets called to a house, let's say for an assault, and they knock on the door, that somebody heard screaming. Yeah. And the senior citizen answers the door. And everything seems fine. Oh, that was the television that you heard screaming. But when the police officer looks around, he sees that there's no, that the house is unclean, it's unkept.
Things are thrown around.
Yeah, and maybe that's a sign that this is a person who needs to be referred to the Department of Aging and Adult Services for social services. Maybe there's no food in the refrigerator. It could be a case of neglect as opposed to a case of assault. One of the other great things that we've done in Montgomery County is to establish, through the district attorney, a task force on elder abuse. And what that does addresses exactly what you're referring to. We, for the first time, bring together once a month, in fact, we're meeting tomorrow.
Wait a minute, what's this now? You meet, what's going to be?
We created, the district attorney created a district attorney's task force on elder abuse.
Task force.
And what that does,
and who's it composed of who?
Well, one of the big problems nationally in the area of elder abuse is you have different agencies that deal with senior citizens who basically don't talk to each other. You've got the police.
Amen.
You've got the police.
Tell me about it.
Department of Aging and Adult Services. What the district attorney did was create this task force that brings these people together once a month. So you have police agencies, the prosecutor's office, Department of Aging and Adult Services, and we sit and we review cases every month. Because sometimes it's hard to sort through them and decide, is this a criminal matter? Is this a matter where the person is incompetent and needs a guardianship appointed? Is it a civil issue? That's what this task force does, and we're going to meet. We've been in business now.
You mentioned now it's composed. It's a policeman involved in this, right?
It's law enforcement, and the Montgomery County Department of Aging.
Okay.
And they're also individuals who often get called to the scene right away. There's an 800 number and a hotline for reporting elder abuse.
Okay, what is it?
In the kind of situation that you mentioned, that's the number to call. And the idea of this task force is if a neighbor is concerned because the newspapers are accumulating outside their neighbor's house, maybe they haven't seen the senior citizen in a couple days. If they call that hotline, or if they call the police, or if they call me, that gets them into the system, and we'll sit at that task force meeting and we'll talk about that case and see, is this a person? Someone will go out immediately to check and see if there's any emergency situation. And if not, if it's not an emergency, we'll deal with whatever the issue is if the person needs
The policeman, the first person on the scene of any accident crime, is the most important guy to preserve the evidence, to see what's there, to follow through. And that's very important for if he sees something, to follow through on it. You know, call it the DA's office oversees, and then if the police officer needs assistance to get a warrant, to get some legal stuff, the police enforce the law. And the district attorney is the one that helps them along, you know.
That's exactly
so,
right.
So the people, the citizens should feel that, look, I have the police, I have the district attorney, I have all these agencies there, so don't feel alone.
That's
don't feel
exactly
alone.
right. And
See?
we'll sort out the
Right.
kind of help they need. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not a criminal matter.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they just need to talk to a lawyer to get a power of attorney in place or
You know,
something like that.
I was listening to radio, Don Giordano on the talk show, and they had Commissioner Ramsey, the new commissioner of Philadelphia. And this lady was complaining that the policeman came. You know, sometimes, you know, people don't think right. They don't say things they shouldn't say. And she said she was complaining about some problems in the neighborhood. And so the guy took the report and he says, you know, lady, the best thing for you to do is to move. Well, the lady said it, and I'll tell you, I like this guy, the Commissioner Ramsey. You know what he said? You give me the names. If you can find out the names of them 3 officers, I'm going to give them training, send them back to training. They shouldn't be
That's
there.
great.
Because you don't have to move. You don't have to be abused by some bully or anything. So that's why you have a police department.
That's
That's
right.
why you have district attorneys. That's why we have laws to enforce, and the right people enforce them. I tell you, I like what he said.
The day we tell people to move because of crime, we might as
Now,
well close up
we
shop.
want to move and get them out.
We might as well close up shop.
No, that's right.
So-
Right. So, okay, now, Lisa Furman, you know, I kind of like her, you know. She comes on here, you know.
Oh,
Women's
she's
district
great.
attorney like Lynn Abraham, boy, she
She's
bobs,
great,
weaves,
and,
slips,
and,
you know.
and she's tried, you know, a lot of very
Right.
high-profile,
She's
very
a listener.
difficult
She
cases.
listens, right.
She's a great prosecutor, and she brings a lot of
And
great
she's
skills.
half my paisan, too. She's
That's-
Sicilian, you know.
There you go. Well,
And
that's where
she's
she gets
from
the
your
fight.
lunch,
That's
too,
where she
right?
gets the you're fighting from.
Yeah. All right, now, some of the cases of abuse. What are some of the ones that stand out the most?
Well,
you
there's a
think?
couple of broad areas, and you know, you talk about police officers.
That's why you do the training.
Observing.
We want to train them. I'm not criticizing them, but if the guy don't know what to do, get
That's
training
exactly
or get
right.
off the job.
That's exactly right, and it's where
And
we
I'm
were.
a former. I put 24 years, and I know what I'm talking
It's
about.
where we were 25 years ago with child abuse, and
Yeah.
you see where we are today. But I'll tell you a great story where the police really used their heads and
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they solved a great case. The police had gotten a complaint that a family member was basically stealing from her own mother, taking her Social Security money and her pension check and so forth. And every time they went to the house, the older woman wasn't there, and they couldn't interview her. And they found out, they got some information that the daughter had taken the mother up to a trailer up in the Poconos to get her, hide her from the police.
Right.
Well, the state police went up, they called up to wherever it was in the Poconos, and they knock on the door of the trailer. And sure enough, the mother is there. It's a vacation-type trailer. The mother's fine. She's healthy. She's not in danger. But the officer, the state trooper, looked around and saw something unusual. This trailer looked like a warehouse. There were boxes and boxes and boxes of financial records.
Oh.
And that was suspicious to the trooper. And they ended up getting a look at those records. And what this daughter did was to move all the bank records out of Montgomery County because it showed that she was stealing money from her own mother.
How about that?
And they were able to then build a case. Now that trooper could have walked away and said, okay, mom's okay, no crime here. But he saw something he knew looked wrong, and he reported it, and it turned into a great case. The kinds of cases we look at are economic exploitation, where you have,
Yeah, it's a big word. Come on.
well, taking advantage of.
Right,
You have it can be your own child. Abuse of powers of attorney. A power of attorney is not a license to steal. So it's a good idea for a senior citizen to have someone named, someone you
attorney,
trust,
yeah.
named as a power of attorney. But that doesn't give that person the right to loot your
take
account
everything,
and to
right.
spend it on themselves. A power of attorney enables the person to access your money to benefit you.
Right.
To benefit you, not to benefit me.
Right.
So if I'm paying my car payments with your money,
Right.
that's stealing. So we look at those kinds of cases. Cases of neglect. And they can occur both in a home setting and in a facility setting.
Neglect as far as food,
Not basic
medical.
care, basic sustenance, shelter, cleanliness, health, food, the basic needs. Now, if you have a child who is accepting the mother's or father's Social Security check and there's no food in the refrigerator,
Right, then something's
that's
wrong.
stealing
Right.
and it's neglect of the parent.
Right.
This can also happen in a nursing home or assisted living or personal care facility.
Well, they kind of look at these nursing homes. They a lot of restrictions. They kind of check them out. I know we've had a couple here in Norristown. In fact, the one in Logan Square, Rittenhouse nursing home. You know, I've helped. There was a fellow, he was going to buy at a Rittenhouse school, and I said, don't knock it down. So they had a little nursing home there, and they're on the ball. They're on the ball. They've got these also these assisted living. You know, they got the senior suites and different things. I go around there, stop around, a little, sing a song or so, shake hands. You know what I like? You know, now we talk about the hard hitting, the bad guy. Now we're going to say how people can defend themselves, how they can protect themselves. You know, on different things. You know,
well, that's the most important question. Remember, senior citizens are victimized because they are perceived as being weak. They're not going to want to come to court. Right. They may have problems with vision or problems with hearing that prevent them from being good witnesses. It may be a family member who is sure that mom or dad would never turn me into the police. Those are the reasons that senior citizens are victimized. The best thing that senior citizens can do, like in any population, is number one, watch out for themselves and watch out for their friends. When you see something that is suspicious, if you have a neighbor who suddenly is being visited quite frequently.
That's the point. A neighbor looking out for neighbors.
Neighbors got to look out for neighbors and other family members. If you go to visit your aunt once a week and all of a sudden some caretaker that came into the scene a month ago keeps telling you, oh, she doesn't want to see anybody now. She's upstairs sleeping. Because that's very common for the caretaker who is in fact, you know, stealing. Try to separate the senior citizen from everyone else so that the senior citizen has to depend on me for all of his or her care and all that. So if you see things like that, you have to report it, and calling the county adult protective services is a good start because they have the right to go. They don't need a probable cause. It's nothing to do with crimes.
That's good.
They can go right to the house, knock on the door. They can insist on talking to the senior citizen alone, and if the caretaker won't allow it, they can bring the police and enforce it. They can walk into that house, they can look at the refrigerator and make sure there's food, they can make sure the bills are being paid, they can look at bank accounts and make sure that that money's not being siphoned away from a bank account.
That's educate. You know, we got to educate the people how to protect themselves. We want to educate the crooks and thieves that we're looking at them and a lot of things that say, hey, you know, like I was in charge of the women crossing guards when I was in Norristown. I said to the chief, I want them to be dressed like police officers as much as possible. You know, he had a crossing guard, 24, 25 at the time, and I had them one different corners. Now, if a guy's going to hit the town for something, he looks, he sees a police car driving down here. He sees a girl, you know, a woman, police dressed as a police. The guy's going to think, hey, well, I ain't going to hit this town.
Right. That's exactly
so
right.
You protect yourself, you know. Protect yourself. That's, you know, that's so, you know, I think I spent most of my years in being a juvenile, but now the time comes now that senior citizens, we got to take care of the senior citizens.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Right.
This is also a very trusting generation.
Right.
And that presents a problem. They're very often susceptible to scams, home improvement scams, lottery scams. Right. Because this is a generation that is the product of the Depression, of World War II. They're a trusting generation who is not likely to question somebody. And the best advice you can give is if something seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And if somebody comes to your door and insists on you paying cash for some to fix your driveway or to fix your house, or somebody wants to drive you to the bank to make a withdrawal.
Have a phone number where you can call somebody. What's the relation, the police, or the district attorney's office?
Just have somebody look at it.
Right.
You say to your son or daughter or your nephew or your neighbor, does this look right to you? This guy wants to fix my driveway for $5,000 and he wants me to drive him to the bank and take out cash right now. Does that sound right to you?
Right.
And just having that objective voice look at it and say to you, nah, there's something wrong here.
The old story, when in doubt, check it out.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But you know, in all my years as a police officer, I think that the most cowardice offense is purse snatching, you know. And, you know, we had the special units. I even dressed guys as old women with handbags. And we caught them. They were hitting up around DeKalb Street, you know. And but, you know, so we put up an educational thing about women when they carry the purse. Don't put the thing hanging on your arm like this. They grab the purse, boom, then you fall down. You got a broken elbow. You got a fractured skull. You know, so if you're going to go shopping, you got the bag, put them in the grocery bag. Nobody's, the druggies don't go around stealing groceries.
Right, that's right.
They want money, you know. Right. And So there's a lot of different things to protect elderly people when they're going to go shopping, when they go. Another thing, I was just talking to up the ShopRite, the manager there, and I said, what are some of the things? Elderly people, they come in with a shopping cart, they put their purse in the shopping cart, and then they go wandering around, and next to the guy comes over and takes a purse, you know.
That's true.
So they don't do that.
And that's
you know.
good
They gotta
advice for
protect
everybody.
yourself, everybody.
Not just senior citizens.
Right,
I've
right.
seen a lot of
But they're the ones
younger
that,
people
you
do
know, that
Yeah.
wander around, you
Yeah,
know.
you're right.
So
You don't leave your, it's a tough world we live in these days.
Now,
And
but-
as economic times get worse, crime always,
oh yeah,
thefts go
right.
up, crime
When
gets
things
worse.
get tough, there'll be more stealing, right?
right.
All right. How many? Now the district attorney's office has different units,
Right,
right?
right.
Now, just tell me a little something. Now you got a drug unit, you got.
We have an economic crime unit, we have a drug unit, we have a sex crimes unit, there's a gun unit that handles targets gun prosecutions for people trafficking and involving guns, domestic violence,
Right,
and elder abuse now.
right, right. Okay, now Montgomery County is one of the biggest counties and richest counties in the country, isn't it?
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Well, we're going to take it just like Norristown's. I was at a conference out in Chicago one time, and it's from Norristown, Pennsylvania. You know, the largest borough in the world at that time. You know, and I said the courthouse. We're the county seat of the
Right,
courthouse,
that's right.
and everybody at that time you had to go to the courthouse to get a dog license. Okay, so we checked. There was 20,000 dog licenses sold that year.
Wow.
Okay. So I checked, and you know, we only had 129 fire plugs in Norristown, so we had a problem, you know. So, I mean, that's what the guy in Chicago said, you know.
Right.
But you know, as people get older, they need more. You know, another thing I can't understand, that the older you get, your eyes get a little bad, you know, even to get cataracts, whatever. And then they make the print so small, you know, you can't see it,
It's hard
you
to
know.
see.
And I think maybe some of these stores ought to have little magnifying glasses where we can
Well,
help them out.
This is a huge population, and stores and other consumer providers would be smart to do that, because this population is the fastest growing population in the country. All those baby boomers are now entering those years, and
Right.
this is one of the reasons that this unit's important also.
Well, who do you support? Different people that support your unit, like come in and help, and giving you ideas or
Well,
helping. Tell me some of the.
One of the things that's been just great
It's
is
more. It's not just Bradford. You
Not at
know,
all.
the people you surround with.
And that's part of the reason, the advantage to this task force. I'll tell you one of the problems that everyone has across the country, and I went to a conference on elder abuse where we had about 30 prosecutors' offices from across the country represented. Some of them were brand new units like mine, some of them were well established. And the problems are the same all over. And one of the problems is to a regular police officer, and you were a cop, so you know what I'm talking about here, you get some complicated financial scam where a child is moving money between accounts. That's not your ordinary case. You got to know how to investigate a financial case, and a lot of times departments, especially smaller departments, don't have the resources. So you got a detective or a cop who's got a case like this. They want to do a good job. They don't have the resources. We're able to provide through this task force forensic accountants if they need to consult with an accountant. A huge thing is we have forensic geriatric nurses. We have pathologists, forensic pathologists, we can call in and say, sit down with this detective and go over this file. Interpret the medical records for us. Interpret the nursing home procedures. Were they done properly? Things that are way above my head, way above the cops' heads, way above your head. But here are experts that we can bring to the table as a resource to police. And that's one of the other things we're trying to do with this.
Well, that's another thing where you have the district attorney's office has the county detectives. I mean, small departments can't get involved in that. So the county detectives come in. You know, the police department has to call. I know years ago, oh, I don't want the county to get involved. I don't want the state. But now, the district attorneys we've had are starting to blend the police. No, not afraid or not ashamed or just an outcast or anything. But they call the DA in. Okay, I think it was the Scotland Yards. They tell their local police departments, if you don't call us in within 24 hours, we're not involved because we don't want you to mess up the case. We want to get there right first.
Get in early.
So a policeman that's suspicious of something, he's the first guy on the scene. Look at the O.J. Simpson case. A police officer, the first guy on the scene. I think he messed up everything. He walked on the evidence. Boom, boom, boom. He screwed everything up.
Well, once that's done, you can't go back.
The police officer is the most important guy that can make sure he sees something, he hears something, detect something, boom, you pass it on.
Right.
You know, what's the old story? The guy says, look, if you can't help the elderly, don't hurt them, you know. And so that's what's about.
Well, I can tell you the response to this task force by the police departments in Montgomery County has been phenomenal.
Good.
In fact, we get a lot of help from Temple University that is contracted with the state to provide help to these task forces all across the county, and all across the Commonwealth. And he told me that Montgomery County has been very unusual in the great response from the police. We have detectives from 3 or 4 departments that come to every task force meeting, whether they have cases to talk about.
Where they
or
come
not.
from? From
Different departments, Cheltenham, Upper Merion. There are a number of departments, Royersford, who send us a detective because they have an interest, they have facilities in their jurisdictions, they have an interest in this kind of crime, and they come to these just to interact and learn new techniques and how to approach these cases. And I today was at a conference very similar to that in Harrisburg.
You just came from Harrisburg,
again,
right?
where we bring together the Attorney General's office.
You had me nervous. I didn't think you're going to make it here.
I would never stand you up. I know better. I could tell already. You're not a guy. You stand up. I'm not going to get on your wrong side.
No.
But the Attorney General also created a unit to deal with these kinds of crimes.
Corbett.
And what they do,
Good guy. Yeah,
and what they do is they bring all these medical professionals, people that deal with nursing homes who know all the regulations.
Right.
And again, police departments can come in and present cases and get everyone's opinion, and they have doctors that can interpret records. It's really a dynamic effort that's going on, and it's just very exciting to be at the ground floor.
You know, our half hour went real fast, you know, so, you know, I'm so happy that you're able to come here. And ladies and gentlemen, don't hesitate. When in doubt, check it out. If somebody comes to your door, you know, just like he mentioned, just Bradford mentioned, you know, check it out. Don't be giving out money. Don't be giving out your credit cards or anything, okay? So let me, last word, give them a little bit of warning to senior citizens.
The most important thing, Hank, is for them to stand up for themselves and not be victimized, and protect one another. You see something with one of your neighbors or friends or relatives, call somebody, get somebody into the system to look at it. Most people who are victimized because they don't take that step of saying, no, I'm not going to be a victim.
Well, here's my little gift for you for coming on my show, and it's Comcast Channel 28. And,
thank you.
And then we have a little toast here.
There we go.
I say in Italian,
this is water. I'm on duty, so I have to make sure everyone
understands. How do you say al salute? Then you're...
L'chaim.
All right, al salute. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for allowing us to come into your home. And please, check it out, you know, and make a phone call. The police department, district attorney's office, social agencies, okay? You know, and until we meet again, keep bobbing and weaving, and God bless. Grazie.